everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could be with us once again. If you guys are new to us here on the Amazon Live side, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button that you'll see either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book of our next guest. We're excited to welcome my friend, Gerry Boylan, as well as his grandson, Eli Clark, to our broadcast to talk about this book you guys see here, Showdown at Firefly Island. We're going to talk to them not only about the writing of the book together, but also what it's been like for them to share the story and see the response. Also want to say hello to those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Glad you all could be with us as well. But Gerry, Eli, hello to you and welcome to the broadcast.
Hello.
Hey, how are you, Cyrus?
Doing really good. Glad to be able to speak with you all again. I should say for you guys on Amazon Live, I had a chance to speak with Gerry and Eli on our podcast as well. So you guys can find it here on Amazon Music too. But Eli, I'm going to kick things off with you. I mean, we had a great conversation before on the radio show. What has it been like for you to be able to tell your friends that you're a published author?
It feels good because it's something that I have that they don't have. Yeah, I think they've all bought it and they've said it's really good. Mm-hmm. And I would recommend it.
Awesome. I love that. Well, Gerry, you've written a few books. You and I have had several conversations over the years, and you've been able to write different types of books. What has it been like for you to share this experience with Eli?
It's been a great experience, Cyrus. We've really had a enjoyable time doing it. It hasn't been without its ups and downs. It took us a long time to write the book. But I think we've really enjoyed it. It's been, I would say more than anything, it's been fun. And when we finally got to the finish line and we had a project we were proud of, a book we were proud of, that was kind of the icing on the cake.
Yeah. Eli, I'm curious for our audience out there, when did you decide that writing was something that you wanted to do?
So I saw when I came over here, I looked over and I saw when I was about 7, my grandpa's book that he wrote before I was born. And I said, "Grandpa, why is your name on this book?" And he said, "Well, I wrote that book." And I said, "Wow, can I do that too?" And then we just started making the book, and it took 4 years now. And now we finally just finished this book.
Awesome. And love that. Gerry, what did you think when Eli said, asked if he could do it too?
I thought it was great. I thought it was a terrific idea. And, I'd never collaborated with anybody on a book before, worked with editors, worked with a lot of other people, but it was, fundamentally my story. So I had to learn to share a little bit, which was a little bit of a learning curve. And we had to learn to use our ideas back and forth to make, one story. But I would say at the heart of the story, this is really, Eli, it's your theme of the story. I did most of the typing. I was the scribe, but at the heart of it, it's Eli's story.
Yeah. So for those who are just finding out then, Eli, about Showdown at Firefly Island, tell them a little bit about what the story's about, if you don't mind.
It's about a family, and they live on an amusement park, which is on an island, and they're about to get the park from these 2 old people, and then on the day they're about to get it, there's this band of evil people who try to come and steal the park from them. So it's a big brawl for the park, basically throughout the story.
And Gerry, you and I, we talk, and I'll talk around this for our audience that haven't gotten the book yet, because they can definitely get it, of course, through Amazon. And Gerry, I should mention, is doing something very special with the book as well. We'll talk more about that. But Gerry, I mean, when Eli first told you about the idea for the story, what did you think?
I thought it had great potential. And, he described, we started with, a location, and Eli came up with an island is the setting. So we used that setting, and then because he likes to go to amusement parks, that was the next stage of building that. Then we started with characters, and we decided we wanted to have real life characters. And then after real life characters, we decided we wanted to have some fantastical characters, some made up fictional characters, be able to mix in. And we also wanted to make it a family story. And if you look at the map on the books, all the names of the locations are named after family members of Eli's, his cousins and his siblings. So that was part of the process of building it. Were those steps.
Talk to me a little bit, Eli, about what your interests were like before writing this. What were some of the books or even movies that you enjoyed reading or watching?
So before I wrote this book, I was really into Roald Dahl, and I loved everything that he did. And I've read all his books a couple times now. And when I was young, my dad used to read me Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is one of his books. And looking back at it now, I think Fantastic Mr. Fox should not have been a book that I was reading at that time. But we read it every night before I went to bed. And it's not a very long book, so we probably read it like 2 times a week, maybe 3.
Yeah.
So we read it a lot. And then I was like, what other books does he have? And then I just read all those. And then I was really into that type of book, like England, like those types, like books that take place there.
Right.
So then I started getting into David Walliams, which is another author whose setting is in England, and it's about a bunch of kids who do stuff there. So I'd recommend that too. I'd really liked those.
I wanted to ask you that question, Eli, because I'm curious. What has it been like for you to now have your own book that people can buy in the same place that they bought books that you liked reading? I mean, what has that been like for you to have your book on Amazon with all these other authors?
It makes me feel important that I'm on Amazon.
Yeah.
And knowing that there's so many other authors that are also on Amazon, and knowing that there's like some of my favorite authors who sell their books on Amazon. And I feel like I'm up there now.
It's pretty cool, huh?
So, Gerry, I think, you and I, we've known each other for quite some time, and it's been great seeing the different types of books that you've been able to write. When you were kind of going through this book with Eli, I'm curious. I mean, what was it like for you to imagine the two sides of good and, the good and bad, what they were going to do, who was going to win? What was that like for you to be able to approach this particular story?
Well, the elements of a good story are the same, whether or not there's it's for kids or it's for adults. You want to have great characters. You want to have tension. You want to have action, a good plot that holds up. And for us, we wanted to have humor. We wanted to make some people laugh while they were reading it. But we also wanted to make sure there was enough excitement and a climax in the book so that people would be wanting to turn the pages to see what happened next. And so those elements were all the same. And while it's a chapter book and my books were longer, it was much the same process. And again, what you brought up before, having a collaboration in some ways was a little harder, but in many ways it was easier because we had each other to bounce these ideas off of. And I thought that was really a terrific experience to be able to do that, to have somebody to bounce it off, even though I thought I was usually right. As it turns out, was I, Eli? No.
Oh, well, we all have our opinions here. Eli, you know what I love about the book, and I owe you guys a review on Amazon. I want to say, for those, I see you guys coming in on YouTube and Facebook. Welcome. You guys are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here. I'm joined today by Gerry Boylan, as well as, of course, Eli Clark. They're the co-authors of this book, Showdown at Firefly Island. You guys can get it right now on Amazon, of course. We're going to remind you also something great that Gerry is doing with the book. But Eli, when I was reading the book, the thing that really I like a lot is that even though you have these different individuals, they realize they have to work together. Was that an important part of the story for you, that if the good was going to win, they would have to do it together?
Yeah, I liked all the teamwork we had in the book.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the specials and the family. And they all had to put their heads together and try to find out a plan. So when everything seems like it's all gonna go wrong, it always turns around. So I felt like that was like one of the main parts, because I feel like if it was just one-on-one, it would never, the good would never win. So I feel like in usual stories, there's always some sort of like another thing that comes in and helps save the day.
There are also some interesting learning in this. You and I didn't talk about this in the radio interview, but I want to talk about Dakota, because we talked about another character when we did the radio interview. But Dakota was an interesting character because, going to Gerry, what you mentioned about the map, Dakota realized something about the map and being able to read the map, and how that map was going to be able to help them against the others, like Fast Freddy. Talk to us about that. Was that also part of the fun for you, Gerry, with this? That yes, it's an entertaining story, but also shows the importance of learning things like how to read a map, how to be able to follow instructions too.
Yeah, that was part of our approach. Was there was a way to be able to bring in a little bit of history, a little bit of lineage, because it was Dakota's grandmother who was instrumental in providing the map, writing the map, and then providing it. And then we had a great artist who helped with our book, who actually then did the map herself, which is on the cover of the book. So we thought it all kind of tied in kind of nicely that way. To be able to show that. So yeah, maps, areas that needed to be traversed, terrain that needed to be worked around, and a big mountain where a lot of exciting things happen inside.
Eli, let's talk about creating the bad guys for a second. I mentioned Fast Freddy. So first of all, how did you come up with the name Fast Freddy? And what was it like for you to kind of, we like to root. Hopefully, we're rooting for the good guys, right? Most of the time, I think we do. But but what was it like for you to kind of create the bad guys and to kind of bring them together?
So when we first wrote our first book, and that was very bad, we their names were Good King and Bad King. Our thing was Nasty King. And we did not like those names. That was one of the bad things about that book. So we were like, well, if they're brothers, why would they be called that? So we tried to figure out names that like twins would have. So we were thinking like we were going through the list of names, and we came across Francis, and we were like, oh, what's another F word, or like FR? And it was Freddy. So we were like, that's a good name. So Francis is the old guy who is going to give them the park, but then Freddy is Fast Freddy is his like name in the book.
And Francis' brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ironic because in the book he ends up ruining his knee in one of the chapters, so he's not fast at all. So
Love it. What about for you? Gerry, what was that like for you to see how Eli was so involved in the names and what the characters' names would be?
So that was part of our one of our jobs is when in character development was we actually went through and came up with all the characters, and then we had to describe them to our artist, and that was kind of a blast. And Eli gets credit for most of the names. I think I get credit for Tudio Fartster, though. I think that was my one name that I was able to.
Wasn't he something else before?
He was something else too. Yeah, I can't remember what we had. Yes, we had mutual veto power.
It was like Stinky McNasty or something like
that. So yes, coming up with the names is one of the really fun parts. That's the great thing about writing a book, and for all your viewers, it's not something that is impossible to do. Anybody can do it. It takes a lot of work. But once you get started on it, the great thing is that it's the one time in life that your characters and the story do exactly what you tell them to do, and that's fun because life doesn't go in a straight line like that usually.
Right, exactly. And Gerry, that brings me to what you're doing, and you and I, we've talked about this before today's show, and I want to let our audience know. You are all about, for one, of course, giving us a book like Gerry's Tales, right? Where you're able to share stories, but also you're about making an impact. So how did you decide? You decided to do something special with with your proceeds from this book. Talk to our audience about that and how you came to that decision.
So I've been involved for over 25 years with an organization in the city of Detroit called the Detroit Police Athletic League. And as the name suggests, it's police officers that join with just an absolutely terrific, committed staff to provide opportunities for children in the city of Detroit to play in 11 different sports, but not just sports. They also play, and Eli, you know some of the other, what are some of the other programs?
They have chess and
robotics, I think.
Yeah.
And so they've got a variety of things, but all with the concept of one coach mentor working with kids to develop teamwork. And in the end, the overall message of PAL is they're there to help kids with create their greatness, to reach their greatness, excuse me. And it's just a wonderful organization. It also is a great organization, you know, in the areas of kids working with police officers. We all know the challenges that you know, we have with police departments in today's world, and here's an opportunity for police officers that work directly with kids as both coaches and mentors in a very positive way. And so the organization serves 10,000 children, has over 1,000 volunteers. You know, all of these people are Detroiters. You know, I am just very, very proud to be part of the organization. I'm currently an assistant basketball coach. My son is a basketball coach in one of PAL's basketball leagues. Our first game starts tomorrow. So I've been doing that for a long time also. So it's sort of a family effort. And we also have the headquarters for PAL is at the site of the old Tiger Stadium. Tiger Stadium was a you know, very, very historic building in the city of Detroit that was torn down, and we built a ballpark there for kids to play. And Eli, you've been there. What do you think about the corner ballpark?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's got, I mean, in the outfield they have a football field and stuff, so it's almost like a 4-in-1 almost, because they have other sports that they play there. And even the stands are cool because it's like, I think they took some of the actual seats from old Tiger Stadium and put them in there. So I think they also have the Hall of Heroes, which is below the stands, which is kind of cool. So they have a ton of like the old Detroit stars, and they took like monuments of that and put that there. And you can walk through and learn a thing or two about Detroit's sports history.
And the kids get a chance to play on the same field that Hank Aaron played at, that Jackie Robinson played at, that Babe Ruth played at. The field is exactly the same dimensions as old Tiger Stadium, with the same flagpole that was put in there, you know, probably 75 years ago. So it's a very, very cool place and a very, very great organization. And Eli and I thought it made sense. We're dedicating all of the proceeds from these books go to the Detroit Police Athletic League, although you're aware that Eli has a side deal with me where I have to pay him a per book per diem. Not per diem, excuse me, but royalty. So for his hard work. But other than that, all the proceeds, $10 book, all goes to PAL.
Love that. Well, it's a great cause and great work you guys have been able to do. So definitely invite our audience to get their copy. Again, everyone, Showdown at Firefly Island is available now on Amazon. You guys can click through and get it for yourself. We're going to also let you guys know how to stay connected with Gerry. You'll see the website there in the comments section. GerryTales.com is where you guys can go. That's TALES.com. It's where you guys can go to be able to find out more information there as well. Eli, I want to ask you our last question here, though. Really glad to have the two of you on with us. Appreciate the time. What advice, Eli, would you give to other young people who may be interested in writing a book?
I'd say definitely do it because it's really fun experience. But they better be up for the hard work because it takes a lot of hard work to write a book. It was I think the best part about writing a book was that I got to spend most of like maybe one day a week with my grandpa just making up ideas and stuff, and being over at his house was really fun. And I think we really bonded through it. I think if you're just writing a book yourself, I think it's not just by yourself because you always have somebody who's bouncing ideas off of you. Especially kids because they have their parents. I'd say definitely do it because I mean, looking back at our book, I'm like, wow, I actually wrote that.
Yeah.
And just feels really good.
Well, love that. Gerry, I know that makes you feel good. What advice would you give to people normally, Gerry, when it comes to them telling you that they have a book they want to write?
Well, the one thing I've learned, the lesson I've learned over and over again is you need a really good editor. When you think you have a book in a decent enough shape, you'll do it with an editor, and it's a kind of a full contact sport to go through an editing process and listen. And we had an editor that went through our stuff and gently but firmly told us where we needed to make some changes, and it's up to us to make them. But that's one of the very most important things to do is to have an editor and not be afraid to make changes to make a book better.
Love it. Dr. Velma says hello and that she loves it. She's joining us from California. Appreciate that, Dr. Velma. And I appreciate CD joining us on the Amazon Live side as well. Thank you so much for watching there too. And I want to say this has been a lot of fun for me to be able to have read the book, to talk to those two of you. I'm so proud of what you've been able to do, Eli. So glad we can share your story here. And definitely, I think it's encouraging for sure. Dr. Bellman says, I work with my granddaughter on her book. Oh, that's great. And I think I love what Eli said, too, about that bonding time, because there's nothing like that, right? And then out of it, you only get to spend time with someone you care about, but also you get a book out of it and royalties. You can't ask for anything better than that. Again, everyone, Gerry Boylan and Eli Clark have been our guests. Make sure you guys get your copy of the book there. You guys see it there. Showdown at Firefly Island, available now. Thanks to the two of you for the time. Really appreciate you stopping by.
All right. Thank you so much, Cyrus.
Hey, definitely glad to have you. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are joining us on the Amazon Live side, again, click through on the book. You guys will see it there in the carousel. Make sure you guys get your own copy of it. And I will be writing my review of the book. I bought my copy there. Definitely invite you guys, if you've already read the book, make sure you guys write your review there too. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you all so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.